Mueller's team is cutting a side deal with Mike Flynn, General Flynn. We won't prosecute your son, and hiding that side deal because if they need to use Mike Flynn to testify against Trump later, they want everyone to believe it's being done out of the kindness of his soul and not that they threatened to arrest his kid. What a bunch of sleazebags. We found out yesterday, and again, this is going to be a really, Sean was right last night, Hannity, when he said this is going to be a really bad day for Adam Schiff. Of course it is. It's been a bad 3 years for Adam Schiff, but nobody cared because the media covers for him because he's a Democrat. But compounding his problem with the now open transcripts that apparently sources have told Fox News about, which completely refute Adam Schiff's lies for the last 3 years. Also, we now find out that Adam Schiff, who backed that Mueller probe from the start, we now know the Mueller probe was a total hoax the entire time. Again, I'm sorry for my regular listeners where, and I mean this, I deeply apologize to you because for some of you, there's nothing explosive about this. You know, that Adam Schiff is a liar and the Mueller probe is a hoax, you've known for, 3 years plus. You probably read both of my books on it. The issue now is we're still arguing with our liberal friends, and now the meat is on the bone and there's no refuting it. There was a lot of speculation in the past. Well, we think Adam Schiff is, now we know conclusively all of this stuff we've told you, Schiff's a liar and the Mueller probe is a hoax. Now we know it's true. Well, how do we know it? Well, before I get to that, I just want to get to just a follow-up on yesterday. So one of Mueller's prosecutors on his hapless witch hunting team we now know was up to no good. The investigation into the Bob Mueller investigation needs to start immediately. Immediately. I told you yesterday about one of his witch hunters, Brendan Van Grack, a relatively hapless fellow who tried to, appears now, has been hiding information from the Mike Flynn defense team. We went into that yesterday. But Van Grack also, interestingly enough, who had worked for Mueller's probe, was also heavily involved in the case against Paul Manafort. Remember the former Trump campaign manager who was locked up and jailed for things that had absolutely nothing to do with Russian collusion, for charges investigated by the FBI and dropped years ago? Yeah, that Paul Manafort. Well, Hat Tip 279er, who sent me this little gem of a video, it's from a while ago. Here is the jury forewoman on the Manafort case. Remember they convicted Manafort? Here is the jury forewoman on the Shannon Bream show on Fox, talking about Van Grack, the same prosecutor who was involved heavily in the ridiculous attempted takedown of Mike Flynn and the hiding of side deals and all that other stuff. Here's her description of what Van Grack was up to during the Manafort trial. Check this out. This is hilarious.
Well, at times I thought the prosecution was a little bored. I mean, I saw them napping during the trial.
Napping during the trial?
Andres and Van Grack especially. Yeah. So it kind of sent a message of, we're bored with this. And I'm thinking, well, if you're bored, then why are we here?
There you go. Talks about Van Grack. Take a little snoozer. Little snoozer during the trial. Nice. Seems like a real great guy. Doesn't he, that Van Grack? Hiding information from the Flynn team. Being involved in, the Mueller's team's manipulation of transcripts by Trump's lawyers to make it seem like they were up to something nefarious. They seem like real gems, don't they? Well, here's this piece in Red State. It'll be in the show notes today, but it's worth your time again. Just following on yesterday's show about Van Grack and the Mueller team, before I even get to the declassified scope memo now. This Van Grack, yeah, he was pretty heavily involved in this little side deal. Remember where they threatened Mike Flynn's son with prosecution and then hid the side deal? Red State. Elizabeth Vaughn, the great Elizabeth Vaughn. She does good stuff. The spotlight shines on Flynn prosecutor Brendan Van Grack. Spoiler, he's not looking good. Now, it's a long piece in the show notes, but I want to just hammer this part again to show you how awful Van Grack, who worked for Mueller and their team when he wasn't sleeping, sleepy eyes, Van Grack. When he woke up during the trial, hey, Van Grack, the judge like, Mr. Van Grack, sorry, Judge, sorry. Okay. When he was awake during the trial, apparently he was hiding things. Why you giving me, what was that about? Oh, I know, I got it on the screen. Paula's giving me like a go ahead. I get it. According to National Review, the heavily redacted emails show Flynn's former lawyers discussing why the deal needed to be kept secret, implying that Flynn would be used to testify in further criminal cases. Oh boy. But the government took pains not to give a promise to Mike Flynn regarding Mike Jr. as to limit how much of a benefit it would have to disclose as part of its Giglio disclosures. I told you. Mueller's team is cutting a side deal with Mike Flynn, General Flynn. we won't prosecute your son, and hiding that side deal because if they need to use Mike Flynn to testify against Trump later, they want everyone to believe it's being done out of the kindness of his soul and not that they threatened to arrest his kid. What a bunch of sleazebags.
You just heard The Dan Bongino Show. You can also get Dan's podcasts on iTunes or SoundCloud and follow Dan on Twitter 24/7 @DBongino.